What is up, YouTube? It's Rahul. Welcome back to the channel. And today's rotation day. As of today, all of your team up to Sun and Moon cards, see the Sun and Moon team up to Sword and Shield cards can be put away in their binder. On PTCGO, rotation has already happened. All these cards are no longer viable for standard legal play. The day is finally here. Tag teams are gone. So in honor of that, today we're going to do a tier list video on our favorite tag teams / like how well they performed in the meta and how impactful I think they were. If you guys want to participate, leave in the comments below what your favorite tag team was / favorite tag team memory and your least favorite as well, because I want to hear those. And I mean, I know everyone's got ADP stories, so let's jump right into it and have a little bit of a fun video today to cap off our 2 weeks of content. If you guys are enjoying the content, obviously subscribe, like, you know the drill. But here we are. Snivysaur was a card that I think goes strictly into C tier, because while this card was super cool, it had maybe one use case. This card was played only in like something like Mewtwo, simply to deal with like decks like Malamar have that bench spread option. But besides that, this card was really bad. I'm gonna put Braixen and Charizard in B tier, because while this card necessarily wasn't the best, its ability or attack Brilliant Flame did a lot and got the ball rolling. Now Piplup and Pipstoise, I guess, goes into the same category of C tier because it just never actually saw any reasonable play. Same with Solgaleo, Lunala, Lily Force, whatever you want to call it. And then we've got our first D tier mon, which is the Bird Baby Trio. Besides that one little meme deck that came out of a couple of YouTube videos and a couple of expanded format shenanigans, this deck never saw anything. Now, unfortunately for everyone, we have our king. We have the card that everyone loves to hate, everyone hates to love. Arceus Dialga Palkia GX, one of the most oppressive cards, one of the most format commanding cards we've ever had. Simply Altered Creation GX was like cheating 2 different things: extra damage and extra prizes, along with just playing boss's orders. You were able to cap off the game in like 2 or 3 turns. Reshiram and Zekrom also falls into that C tier category, where, no, it's a D tier card. This card had so much hype behind it and had so many cards going for it, but it just never worked out. Naganadel and Guzzlord goes into that B tier because it was played in internationals, it was played in a couple of decks afterwards, and the deck had a lot of potential, especially paired with B-String while we still had that. But then after B-String, the deck kind of got way worse, and then Moltres came out and people tried to make it work. By people, I mean me. Yeah, it was a very, very, very solid card. Then we have our, oh, what am I doing here? Jigglypuff and Lopunny tag team. This card was really good with Jumping Balloon, Puffy Smashers. One of the more powerful cards to come out, one of the more counter meta cards to come out, especially paired in a deck like Mewtwo. I really enjoyed this card, but it's only A tier at best because it was a counter meta card. The Bird Trio, I would put into B tier. There's a really cool Bird Trio deck that did well right before the pandemic, if you guys remember. It was like a Victini Bird Trio, like toolbox style deck that I think got second in the regionals over in Malaysia, or I think Malaysia. And the deck was really, really cool. It just unfortunately happened to be the only event before the pandemic happened, and then everyone's creativity kind of stifled, and there was one expanded deck with Bird Trio, but besides that, it didn't do well. We've got our Magikarp and Wailord tag team going into the B tier as well because of the Towering Splash GX attack and the first attack as well. Really, really good expanded Arceus. Never really saw play in standard besides Quagnag, but don't think that's a real deck. Now, Trevnor, I'm going to get a little bit of flack for putting into A tier as opposed to S tier, but I think Trevnor was out for quite a while before it even saw any reasonable play. Malamar decks opted not to play it. A lot of decks opted not to play it. It just kind of ended up being really good towards the end of its life, and then in the expanded format were the only 2 times it was really good. In the expanded format with the Milotic, like handlock engine, it was really good, and then bans came around, and then the deck obviously kind of falters there. And then in standard, it never really had an opportunity to be good until Shadow Rider came out, and you had so much draw that the 3 energy attack didn't really matter. I played this in a Mewtwo list at one point, and it was okay, but it never really did what I wanted it to do. It was played in like Mewtwo Malamar. That's the deck, but that deck was never good in my opinion. Selisaur is a I want to put it in C, but I know it's a D tier card because the deck didn't really do anything ever. It was never a good deck. I'm the only one who had success with it. Also very interesting to note that Charizard and Venusaur both got 2 tag team Pokemon, but Blastoise only got 1. So what's up with that? Why do people just not like Blastoise, I guess? Pikachu and Zekrom tag team, one of the most influential tag teams off the rip, was very, very good for its entire life cycle, almost until the very end. It persevered, it kept showing up, it kept doing basically so much to whatever it wanted, basically. I think this was an absolutely S tier card. Not even a question in my mind. Gengar and Mimikyu goes into the A tier because, again, this card was played in Mewtwo Malamar. Never really played without Mewtwo as a tandem partner until Shadow Rider, where like both these Psychic type GXs got some life towards the end of their period where they could do stuff. Latios and Latias just never saw play. It was never good. Eevee Snorlax goes into that B tier as well, where that during that one format of block where Zoroark and all these decks were really, really good, Eevee Snorlax came in and kind of did a ton of damage, did a ton of work, and was really, really strong in that one time period. Buzzmosa goes into that C tier, where it was always teched in a lot of decks. Could have made an impact, but never really did. Reshizard goes into S tier because Reshiram and Charizard Tag Team GX was really, really good, but also the thing that made it better is because Welder came out with it, and it was one of the only few tag teams in the game for a regular attack, plus like a choice band, for most times, could knock out other tag team Pokemon, which nothing else could do without burning a GX attack realistically for the longest time. So having a card like this just made it very, very strong. Muck and Alolan Muck tag team goes into C because I am abstinent and say that card was always good in its life cycle. Marshadow Machamp was just never good. This card was like cute and was splashed into a couple decks that played Aurora or Rainbow or whatever and had Fighting Fury Belt. Not Fighting Fury Belt, Fighting Expert Belt in them already, or Karate Belt or whatever. But it was just never good. Greninja and Zoroark goes into the B tier just because this card was always really, really good in its life cycle. It just never had a tier 1 deck centered on it besides in Expanded, but in Expanded it's going to be here, and it's going to be here for quite a long time because Dark Box doesn't go anywhere. So having a card like this where it has infinite damage cap technically or theoretically is just a really good card. Another one of those cheating the system GXs in Lucario Melmetal GX with Full Metal Wall GX. You basically got to cheat the system and do whatever you wanted for quite a while. And yeah, it was just a really, really broken card. Then we're going to go put Gardevoir Sylveon into B tier. For the small period of time where Gardevoir and Sylveon dominated, or it didn't even dominate, I guess, because Fire-type decks kind of like crapped on it. But it was a really funny deck because of how little maintenance it needed to do what it needed to do. And it was a really, really cool deck in general, and I really liked it. Rowlet goes into A tier. While this card did not have a lot of life cycle, as soon as Sword and Shield block came out with Rillaboom, the deck already instantly became good. It was one of those sleeper decks. Weakness Guard Energy made it just that much stronger. Big Charm made it that much stronger. It just kept getting all these pieces that made this really cool grass archetype work when grass types weren't really a thing. Just a really cool thing because Rillaboom kind of is the partner that gave it life. But now we have Sylveon, or not Sylveon, Greenion, Leafeon. Wow, what did I do there? Leafeon to kind of help accelerate the ball with all that kind of stuff. Slowpoke Psyduck, just meme tier, meme at best. Alolan Raichu, and Raichu goes into A tier. This card was always paired in tandem with Pikarom. It was always your cleanup, stamp, plant, whatever, stamp path to one, put people down to one card hands, tandem shock them, finish up with a Lightning Ride, go back into another tandem shock if you need to, finish up with a Tag Bolt if you need to. He was a late game Hail Mary play that you always would have. The S tier, and probably if we're ranking in terms of how best the card is, it's probably the second best card to ADP, and only ADP is Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX with the Perfection ability, Henry Brand's 2019 World Championship winning deck card, whatever you want to call it, from that World Championships to its rotation. Today, it has been one of the most dominant cards in the format, one of the most splashable cards in the format, going pretty much into any color of deck. Fire Mewtwo, Grass Mewtwo, there's been Psychic Mewtwo, Dark Mewtwo as well recently, Mewtwo and Shadow Rider, Mewtwo and ADP, Mewtwo and Pikarom. Mewtwo has been paired with pretty much every tag team under the sun because of how good and versatile it is. Going to definitely miss that card. Yeah. I spent on Deoxys during its life cycle when things like Malamar and all these other one-prizer decks could really threaten it. Was very, very, very good. But after that, it kind of fell off and never really had a place in the metagame because everything got a little bit bigger. And so Mewtwo had to adapt by playing bigger attackers and bigger stuff like that. Then we had I don't know where Dark Iron Brand goes. I want to say B tier just because it's always been a really good attack. And towards the end of its life cycle, it got really, really strong. But at the beginning of the life cycle, it was also pretty strong if you could play like a Dark Box deck that worked. It's just that nobody could find a Dark Box deck that worked. And I think Sabotar is going to go into B for the same exact reason. It just was hard to make work. Last but not least, Tina Chomp. I think that goes into A tier. Tina Chomp is going to be very, very good and expanded for its entire life cycle. There's no doubt in my mind that card's going to be absolutely broken in the expanded format. And then in the standard format, it won regionals pretty much like very quickly after it was released. It got top 8 at LAIC, and the card was dominating League Cups before rotation happened. So I had a lot of potential for a card like this. And I think, barring any crazy meta changes that were happening, people could have made this card work in some capacity because GGN is just such an overpowering attack, GX attack. And Calamitous Slash also does just a ton of damage. So happy rotation day, guys. This is my tag team's goodbye video. And we'll be back Monday or Sunday potentially with my series video if I can get the editing done. And then Monday if with a regularly scheduled content if not. But keep an eye out for that. I really hope you guys are enjoying the content. I really appreciate all the support. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. Share with a friend. Share with your grandma. You know the drill. Leave in the comments below what kind of stuff you want me to do. I've gotten suggestions for VOD reviews, like game reviews, that kind of stuff. So let me know. Peace out.